The sun hit her canteen like molten glass when the colonel stopped dead at the sight of her sleeve. It was 14:30 hours, the air thick with dust and diesel from idling MRAPs along the FOB's east perimeter. Private Leigh Mendez adjusted the strap of the water crate digging into her shoulder, unaware that one square of faded fabric on her arm had just cracked open a buried piece of history. She moved slow in the heat, boots sinking into packed sand, the rhythm of her steps steady until silence spread around her like an invisible command. Colonel Arthur Raines stood near the command tent, clipboard under one arm, expression stone. The soldiers nearby straightened, unsure what had pulled his attention from the convoy report. His eyes were fixed on Leah's left arm, on the patch, black thread barely holding, a falcon clutching a lightning bolt against a weathered field gray background. "Where did you get that jacket, Private?" His voice was low, but the edge of command cut through the air. Leah froze mid-step. "Sir?" "The patch," he said again, eyes narrowing. "That insignia. Where did you get it?" She looked down, confused. "This? It was my mother's, sir. It still fits." Around them, the clank of weapons faded. A mechanic dropped a wrench. Someone muttered that the colonel never raised his voice unless something was seriously wrong. Raines took 2 steps forward. "That unit doesn't exist anymore." His jaw locked. "Take her to the tent." At first, no one moved. The wind carried a faint whine of static across the radio net. Then a voice crackled through. "Bravo 6, this is Falcon. Hold all traffic. We have a uniform anomaly." Leah blinked, unsure if she'd heard correctly. A uniform anomaly. As if she'd walked in wearing a ghost. The soldiers around her hesitated, then escorted her toward the command tent, their faces unreadable. Raines followed close, his shadow stretching long across the sand. Inside, the air was thick with stale coffee and paper. Raines dropped his clipboard onto the table, then leaned against it, arms folded. "Private, do you know what that emblem represents?" Leah shook her head. "No, sir. It was just my mother's. She served with recon years back. Before she what?" "She didn't come home," Leah said quietly. "KIA, they told me. But I never got the full report." The colonel's eyes flickered. Pain, recognition, something else buried under layers of command discipline. He exhaled through his nose, turned, and reached for a locked drawer. "That symbol was never supposed to surface again," he muttered. "Viper Talon, a recon detachment that was disbanded 5 years ago." He paused as if saying the name itself cost him something. Every patch was ordered destroyed, every file scrubbed. Leah frowned. "Why?" He didn't answer. Outside, a gust rattled the tent canvas. The radio cracked again. Static, then. Vector 1 to Falcon, requesting clarification on hold order. Raines snatched the handset. "Stand by, Vector 1. His tone was clipped. "Maintain perimeter lockdown." He turned back to her. "Your mother's name, Private?" "Mendez. Sergeant Isabel Mendez." That name hung in the air like a detonator half-pressed. The colonel's hands stilled against the table. "Isabel Mendez," he repeated. "She was—" His voice trailed off. "She was Viper Talon." Leah waited, heart pounding. "You knew her?" Raines didn't reply. He stepped away, rubbing the scar along his right wrist, a small, involuntary gesture she noticed and wouldn't forget. He stared through the tent flap at the shimmer of heat beyond. "Sir," she said quietly, "I didn't mean any trouble. It's just a jacket. It's all I have left of her." He turned back, eyes sharp again, voice cold. "Nothing about that patch is just. You shouldn't even possess it. That insignia represents an operation that never officially existed. I don't understand." "You're not supposed to." He reached for his radio again. "Falcon to Command Ops. Confirmed detain order for Private Mendez. Classification pending." Her breath caught. "Detain?" For what? Sir, I haven't done anything. He didn't meet her eyes. For your own protection, he said softly, though even he seemed unconvinced. She stepped back, shaking her head. My mother's jacket isn't a crime. Raines's expression hardened. That insignia could start one. The silence between them stretched long. Then, with a deep breath, he lifted the patch between two fingers, tracing the worn stitching. I watched this bird burn, he murmured, and now it's back on base. Burn. He looked at her fully now, the weight of command cracking just enough to show something human beneath. 5 years ago, there was a mission, he said slowly. We lost a team. Your mother's team. Officially, there was nothing to report. Unofficially, he stopped. That's enough. Sir, please, Leah said. If you know something, he snapped the drawer shut. Not another word. You'll stay in holding until we figure out how that jacket made it here. Leah stared at him, disbelief hardening into defiance. It made it here because she did, she said. She was one of you. Raines's voice dropped to a whisper. That's what scares me, Private. For a moment, he almost said more. Then the radio interrupted again. Another voice, impatient, echoing through the tent walls. Falcon, this is Vector 2. Do you copy? We've got rumors spreading already. He shut it off. Too late. Outside, soldiers were already talking. A forgotten patch, a frozen colonel, whispers of an erased unit returning. Leah sat on the folding chair, her pulse loud in her ears. The colonel paced once, then stopped at the flap, eyes fixed on the horizon. Sir, she asked quietly, why does that patch scare you? He didn't turn. Because the last time I saw it, he said, it was covered in blood. She said nothing. The light through the canvas had dimmed. The air was heavy, restless. She thought of her mother's voice, faint through old recordings, telling her to keep her head down, stay safe, never ask questions. Now she wanted nothing more than to ask them all. Raines stood there a moment longer, the outline of a man caught between duty and memory. Finally, he exhaled. We'll talk again, he said quietly. Then, to himself, almost inaudible, if command lets me. He stepped outside, leaving Leah alone with the silence, the heat, and the ghost on her sleeve. Somewhere beyond the perimeter, thunder rolled low over the sand, like a warning that the past wasn't finished. And when the first encrypted ping came through the base comms that night, carrying a name thought erased, the story of Viper Talon began to wake again. They said Viper Talon never existed, but the colonel's trembling hands said otherwise. By nightfall, the desert had cooled, but inside the command tent the air was tight with electricity. The hum of the generator mingled with the low hiss of encrypted radios, a steady pulse beneath the silence. It was 2040 hours, and Colonel Arthur Raines stood before the holographic map table, staring at a field of shifting blue grids that refused to give up their secrets. Lieutenant Dana Cho leaned over the terminal beside him, her fingers moving with precise efficiency. Sir, I ran 3 cross-references through CommandNet. Every database returns null. Viper Talon doesn't exist, not even in the Black Archives. Raines didn't look up. It existed. Then someone erased it, she said quietly. Raines's eyes flicked to the far end of the tent, where Private Leah Mendez sat under guard. Her hands were folded, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the patch still sewn to her sleeve. She looked smaller now, stripped of the sunlit strength she'd shown earlier. The silence around her was heavy, half suspicion, half sympathy. Sergeant Tom Keller entered carrying a field log tablet and 2 mugs of bitter coffee. He handed one to Cho, the other to Raines. You want my opinion, sir? No. You're getting it anyway. Keller folded his arms. That patch. I've seen one before. Years back. A guy came through my triage tent after a recon mission gone sideways. Same Falcon insignia, same ghost look in his eyes. Next day he was gone. Transferred, they said. Raines's hand froze around his mug. When? 5 years ago. Operation north of LZ Mirage. Night exfil. Never logged in the system. Cho turned. That's impossible. Mirage was shut down after the drought season. Keller shrugged. Guess someone forgot to tell them. The colonel stepped closer to the map display. He zoomed in on the coordinates, 12 clicks north of their current position. The grid flashed, then blinked red. Restricted access. Falcon to Vector 2, Raines spoke into the radio. Confirm encryption key Delta 9. Vector 2 to Falcon. Encrypted, flash inbound. The screen pulsed. A message bled through, coded and incomplete. But the sender's identifier was unmistakable. Mage H. Dobbs. Raines felt his stomach twist. Dobbs. His second in command from the Tagline days. A name he hadn't heard spoken aloud since the mission that broke them. The transmission was short. One line. Why is she there? Cho looked up from her console. Who's Dobbs? Raines didn't answer. The color had drained from his face. He turned away, but his gaze landed on Leah again. The same eyes, the same quiet defiance he remembered from Isabel Mendez. The woman who'd disobeyed orders to save her squad. The woman who never came back. He whispered, barely audible. You shouldn't be here, kid. Leah straightened. Sir. He cleared his throat. You'll remain under supervision until command clarifies the situation. This isn't up for discussion. You think I'm a threat because of a patch? She said. No, because of what comes with it. Her voice hardened. Then maybe you should tell me what that is. The colonel's jaw locked. You wouldn't believe it. I already don't, she shot back. For a moment the tent was silent but for the hum of electronics. Raines turned away first. He couldn't face her. Not yet. When she was escorted out, the night swallowed her shape. Later, when the others were gone, Raines stayed. He pored over encrypted logs, old mission timestamps, half-corrupted reports. Each entry stopped at the same date, 5 years ago to the day. Operation Blackout. Terminated by command. He opened a private archive buried beneath 4 layers of encryption. Inside, grainy drone footage flickered to life. A storm of tracer fire. Smoke over the dunes. Voices screaming coordinates through static. A woman's voice, calm, determined. This is Viper Talon 3. We've got civilians pinned. Need extraction now. He remembered shouting into the comms, trying to reach her. The feed had cut out seconds before the detonation. Afterward, command ordered silence. The unit erased, their names buried under operational loss. He followed orders. He told himself it was mercy. Now the daughter sat in his base wearing that ghost of a bird, and the lie was crumbling. Outside, Leah moved through the dim corridor between storage units, unable to sleep. The guards had been reassigned. No one thought a water runner could be a security risk. But she couldn't stop thinking about the look in Raines's eyes. Recognition. Fear. Guilt. She followed the faint glow spilling from a half-open supply shed. Inside, the air smelled of oil and dust. She flipped the switch. Old gear, crates stacked to the ceiling, a row of sealed lockers stamped with fading numbers. One stood out, its tag scratched off, replaced with a single hand-etched symbol. A falcon. Her pulse quickened. She pulled the latch. The lock snapped. Inside, an old mission map, edges curled, marked with coordinates, 12 clicks north, same as the grid Raines had opened earlier. A folded report lay beneath it. She opened it carefully. After Action File, 472B, Viper Talon Recon Team. Operation Status, terminated by command. She stared at the page until her vision blurred. Then her eyes found a name on the casualty list, SGT Isabel Mendez, presumed Kia. Her breath caught. The paper trembled in her hands. Behind her, a faint shuffle. She turned. Keller stood at the doorway, expression unreadable. You shouldn't be in here, he said quietly. You knew, she whispered. He exhaled. I patched up one of them. A survivor. Rains told me to forget it. Said it was better that way. Leah clenched her jaw. He lied. Not just him, Keller said. Command did. We all did. Why? Because that op wasn't clean, Mendez. Bad intel, worse politics. They were sent in to pull ghosts out of a place no one wanted to admit existed. When it fell apart, they buried everything, including your mother. She folded the report, slipping it into her pocket. Then I'm done believing in their silence. Keller's eyes softened. You don't know what you're walking into. Neither did she, Leah said. She brushed past him, stepping into the night air, the horizon glowing faint green under starlight. Somewhere beyond the dunes, 12 clicks north, lay the place they had all tried to forget. Back inside the tent, Rains sat motionless before the map table. The comm light blinked again. Another message from Dobbs, more urgent this time. Don't dig. Not again. Rains closed his eyes. For a moment, he could almost hear Isabel's voice in the static, the echo of her last transmission cutting through the years. He knew what was coming. The past was moving, and it had her face. The storm wasn't over. It had just found a new name. At dawn, the desert wind carried the call sign Viper Talon across the radio for the first time in 5 years. The sun crept over the dunes, throwing long shadows across the wreckage of LZ Mirage. The sand glowed orange and gold, littered with twisted metal and fragments of memory. Private Leah Mendez stood at the edge of the clearing, her pack at her feet, her mother's patch stitched to her sleeve. The black falcon caught the light, wings outstretched as if still in flight. She had walked 12 clicks through the night to reach this place. The coordinates from the mission map burned in her mind, every step driven by a question that refused to die. The air was cold and dry, yet her skin felt aflame. A low hum broke the silence. A drone appeared overhead, its lens glinting as it projected a wavering holofeed into the dust. Major Henry Dobbs' face formed, grayed, hard, and half-lit by static. You're trespassing on a restricted grid, Private, he said. Turn back. Leah squared her shoulders. This is where my mother died. Dobbs' expression didn't move. Your mother died in service. Let it rest. She didn't die in silence, Leah said, and neither will I. The feed flickered out. Moments later, bootsteps crunched behind her. Colonel Rains emerged from the haze, his uniform streaked with dust, sidearm holstered. He looked like a man who'd come to face his own ghost. You shouldn't be here, he said quietly. You erased them, Leah answered, not turning. You erased her. Rains stopped a few paces away. I buried them, he said, voice rough, to keep command from hunting the ones who lived. Leah turned. There were survivors? 2, maybe 3. After the ambush, command ordered me to shut down all records. Said Viper Talon never existed. I obeyed. He looked past her to the sand. Your mother stayed behind so the rest could escape. She transmitted coordinates until her signal cut out. Leah knelt suddenly, her fingers brushing something half-buried, a metal case. She dug it free and flipped the latch. Inside lay 6 unit insignias and a sealed data drive. Her heart hammered. She left this, she whispered. Rains crouched beside her, staring at the insignias. She knew someone would come. Leah plugged the drive into her wrist comm. The screen flickered and a voice cracked through the static, her mother's. If this is found, tell them Viper Talon completed the mission. We were sent into a trap, but we held. We didn't break. We endured. The words hung between them, fragile as glass. Rains closed his eyes. She was right. I thought I was protecting them by hiding the truth, but all I did was bury it deeper. The radio on his shoulder crackled suddenly. Dobbs's voice, sharp, commanding. Falcon, this is Reaper. Do not transmit that data. Shut it down or lose your command. Rains hesitated. For 5 years he'd obeyed that voice. For 5 years he'd carried the lie like armor. Now, the daughter of the woman he'd failed stood in front of him waiting. He keyed his mic. "Falcon to all units," he said steadily. "Disregard previous silence order. Confirm Viper Talon. Active integrity. LZ Mirage verified." Static, then a pause. "Say again, Falcon. Viper Talon?" "Viper Talon never died," he said. "They endured." Leah exhaled slowly. The rising sun caught her mother's insignia in her hand, glinting bright through the dust. Dobbs's voice returned, furious. "You just exposed us, Rains." Rains looked toward the horizon. "Then let them see." He switched off the radio. For a long moment, the only sound was wind. Leah placed the insignia gently in the sand beside the others. "Thank you," she said softly. He nodded. "You've got her strength." She shouldered her pack. "And your conscience," she said, turning toward the distant shimmer of the base. Rains watched her go until the dust swallowed her outline. Then he knelt, pressing his recorder to his lips. "For the record, Sergeant Isabel Mendez, Recon Unit Viper Talon. Mission integrity confirmed. Honor restored." The wind carried his words across the valley, erasing the last traces of silence. Viper Talon lived again.